Our first feature for the Grand Prix playoffs is the Winged Dragon of Ra at Diabound Colonel. This is a villains on villains matchup, something we didn't get to see in the Swiss rounds, but I'm glad we finally do because this has a lot of anime undertones to it. First being that Bakura and Marik faced off against each other after the Battle City quarterfinals, where Ra proved to be too much for Bakura's occult deck, but true to his word, he is back this time with Diabound, and Diabound, of course, faced off against Ra in the dawn of the duel arc, pitting the Force of Darkness against the most powerful of the God cards. This matchup will not disappoint. Let's get it. So Bakura's Diabound being the higher seed will start off the first duel, opening up with the Bandit King. He can discard a card to pitch a card from his opponent's hand. He will pitch the third form of Diabound and will discard Ancient Chant from the Winged Dragon of Ra's hand. Set 1 and end. Ra opens up with Effect Slime. It's likely its best opening of the deck. We'll try to search a slime card from its deck. We'll add Slime Everywhere. Slime Everywhere activates to destroy a slime card he controls, so he can special summon 2 more with different names from his deck. That'll go through, allowing him to summon Battle Slime and Guardian Slime. Now, Effect Slime's effect activates when it's destroyed. It can special summon itself from the grave. Ra will send Guardian Slime to the graveyard to fusion or special summon Egyptian God Slime from its Ector deck, which will trigger Guardian Slime's ability to add a spell or trap from deck to hand that mentions the card the Winged Dragon of Ra. They will add the True Sun God. True Sun God activates, allowing them to search Winged Dragon of Ra or a card that mentions it from deck to hand. They'll add that Ancient Chant. And now Ancient Chant activates, allowing them to search out the Winged Dragon of Ra itself. Looks like they're in the process of assembling the perfect field right here. Ancient Chant's graveyard effect activates to banish it. Now when the Winged Dragon of Ra is tribute summoned, it'll gain attack and defense equal to the tributed materials. And he will activate Soul Crossing, which will allow him to tribute Diabound's monsters, which includes the Bandit King right now on field. Will tribute Battle Slime, Egyptian God Slime, and the Bandit King. And that'll, doing the math in my head, give it 6,300 attack right there on the spot. And if he wants, he could also activate the Winged Dragon effect, and he does, paying down life points 7,900 down to 100. And that'll boost Ra up to 14,200 attack and 12,600 defense. That is one big chicken. Will it go through? Ra attacks. Cannot be targeted by card effects as Effect Slime is on board. Maybe he has Blaze Cannon in hand as well. And it does! OTK from Ra to finish off Duel 1. We are going to Duel 2. Starting off the playoffs big with an OTK from Ra. Alright, Diabound opens up. Game 2 will start off summoning the Bandit Expert. This card can negate effects by sending a Diabound monster from deck to grave, though that effect can only be activated once while it is face up on the field. Set 2 this time, maybe a bit more protection from an OTK and end turn. Ra opens up, setting 3 cards and ending. Diabound will go into battle phase right away. Bandit Expert will attack for 1,200 and that'll go through, taking a small lead. And that battle damage allows Ra to trigger Guardian Slime's ability in hand to special summon itself when he takes damage. Ra's turn now activates Pot of Prosperity, banishing 6 extra deck cards face down. and that'll be blocked by an Ash Blossom. But that is chained with Call by the Grave, banishing that Ash Blossom, allowing Pot of Prosperity to go through. It's revealed 6 cards from the top of the deck. We have Ash Blossom, Effect Slime, Mound of the Bound, Battle Slime, Ancient Chant, and Immortal Phoenix. Of course, I'll add that Effect Slime from deck to hand and put the rest at the bottom of the deck. Alright, now they will send Guardian Slime from field to grave to summon Egyptian God Slime. This will trigger Guardian Slime's ability, which will be blocked by the Bandit Expert, so not allowing them to search that spell or trap from deck to hand. But that is met with Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. This is not looking good for Bakura, with his on-field and graveyard dark monster effects being now negated, and that means the entire deck basically. But that is met with Ancient Tools of the Bandit, so this can be activated when he controls the Bandit card, a Bandit monster. Pay 1,000 life points to negate a spell or trap. So this will go through now. Bandit Expert will send the first form of Diabound to the grave from deck, and that'll allow him to negate Guardian Slime's search ability. Alright, so Ra baited out the Bandit Expert's negation, and now he can summon the Effect Slime and activate its effect to add a Slime card from deck to hand. I think that is an error right there. Yeah. Putting the True Sun God back, probably getting a little ahead of itself. Add Slime Everywhere from deck to hand. Slime Everywhere activates to destroy the Effect Slime to special summon 2 more slime monsters from the deck. That'll be Battle Slime and Guardian Slime. And Effect Slime's graveyard ability activates to special summon itself from the graveyard. And he has another Soul Crossing, allowing him to tribute his opponent's monsters. And this is really critical against Diabound's deck because these bandit monsters all have floating abilities when they are destroyed. So if they're tributed, he does not get those floating abilities. So he will tribute the Bandit Expert, Effect Slime, and Battle Slime. To summon the Winged Dragon of Ra from hand, will he activate its effect this time, paying down 6,700 life points to 100 and giving it 6,700 attack and defense. Trying to go for another OTK, but will it go through this time? Moving to battle phase, Egyptian God Slime declares an attack, and that goes through, reducing Diabound to 4,000 life points. Winged Dragon of Ra attacks, and a Memories of the Bandit to special summon the Bandit monster from the graveyard. That'll bring out the Bandit Expert. This will be destroyed in the end phase if it is not destroyed right here and now. Ra does attack, sending Bandit Expert to the graveyard, and that'll trigger its floating ability to special summon the Bandit King from deck. Comes out in defense mode. Its effect can activate to discard a card from hand. They will discard the Bandit Child to discard the card in Ra's hand, its last card, that being a Battle Slime. And since it was a monster discarded, the Bandit King can add a Diabound or Kernel card from deck to hand. They will add Tablet of Diabound. That allows him to special summon a Diabound monster from hand or grave. Alright, it is Diabound's turn now. He just has to get 100 damage, and that is a possibility here given that Ra has some attack position monsters on board. Bandit King will move to attack mode and activate Tablet of Diabound to special summon the Diabound from graveyard. And I see where this is going now, because Egyptian God Slime has the ability where the opponent cannot target for attacks or card affects any other monster except Egyptian God Slime, and Diabound will declare an attack, which will give it a 600 attack boost. But then it'll activate its effect in the damage step to banish itself and reduce Egyptian God Slime's attack by 2,400, going down to 6, and that'll allow the Bandit King to deal that final damage for game. That is how game 2 will come to an end. An attempt to overextend by Ra for going for an OTK, ends up backfiring this time, and Diabound takes game 2. And here we are, game 3, let's get it. Ra will go first. Opening up with the True Sun God to add a Winged Dragon of Ra or a card that mentions from deck to hand, they will add Ancient Chant. Set 1 and end. Alright, so not a crazy opening like the first 2 duels. Diabound opens up, activating Lightning Storm to destroy spell and traps that Ra owns, and that includes Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. So again, Diabound escapes being locked out of its effects. Now they'll activate Hidden Kernel to send a Diabound monster from deck to grave to add an Elushu from deck to hand. They will send the second form of Diabound from deck to grave. Normal summon the Bandit King, again can discard a card to discard a card from the opponent's hand. Discard that Elushu, and they will hit the True Sun God from hand. Alright, that is a big discard. Doesn't allow the Bandit King to get an extra search, but that is big nonetheless. The Bandit King will deal 1800 attack in the battle phase, taking a quick lead again, and will end the turn with no back row. Alright, so there is an opportunity here if Ra has the cards for it. Activates Ancient Chant to search out the Winged Dragon Ra. That is blocked off by Ash Blossom, likely trying to prevent another attempt at a Winged Dragon of Ra overkill. Ra summons Reactor Slime. This has the ability in the battle phase to tribute itself, which is exactly what Ra will do. Tribute itself to set a Metal Reflect Slime from hand, deck, or graveyard, and it can be activated this turn, which is what he will do. Activate Metal Reflect Slime, and this is a level 10 water monster, which will allow him to send it to the graveyard to special summon Egyptian God Slime from his extra deck. That'll end the turn. Diabound goes, draws, set 1, move the Bandit King into defense mode. Normal summon the Bandit Expert, so you got 1 effect negation on board, and end turn. Ra draws, sets 1, sets 2, moves the Egyptian God Slime into attack mode, likely to try and get that effect negate off the board. Going into battle phase, Egyptian God Slime attacks the Bandit Expert, and that will go through. So the Bandit Expert's ability will activate to special summon the Bandit King from deck. And Elushu's ability will activate as well, since a monster he controlled was destroyed, so Elushu will add itself back from graveyard to hand. And Bandit Expert will summon the Bandit King. So Ra set those 2 cards in advance, so Bandit King would not be able to discard those, but let's see what was left in hand. The Bandit King will discard that copy of Elushu to discard Soul Crossing. Alright, interesting choice. Leaving Soul Crossing in his hand. Maybe he wanted to bait out a discard from the Bandit King, who knows, but that is an interesting choice to not have set that in advance. Alright, that ends turn right there. Diabound draws, sets 1, moves the Bandit King into defense mode, so now he's got 2 in defense. Doesn't have a way to overcome the Egyptian God Slime in that at this point in time. Though he could have rammed 1 in and gotten that Diabound and done the same thing he did in game 2, but he chooses not to. Ends turn, Ra goes. Top decks into Ancient Chant. This will allow him to search out the Winged Dragon of Ra, not blocked off by Ash Blossom this time. And we'll activate Ancient Chant's graveyard ability to banish it, so that when Ra is normal summoned, it'll gain the attack and defense of the tributed monsters. And he has another Soul Crossing on board already, so that is why he did leave that in hand to draw out that discard. We'll activate the set Soul Crossing. This will allow him to tribute both of Diabound's monsters, but that is blocked off by Rivalry of Warlords. Oh, man. So now Ra cannot control any other monsters except Aqua monsters, and because of how the rulings work, that means he cannot tribute a different type monster, so he cannot tribute for a Divine Beast since he controls an Aqua. That is huge, a huge block. Moves Egyptian God Slime to defense mode. And we'll end turn right here. Diabound draw, sets 1 and end. Raw. Top deck's in the Pot of Prosperity. Let's see if it can dig for an out to Rivalry of Warlords. It'll banish 6 extra deck monsters face down. We'll excavate 6. We have Ash Blossom, Sun God Unification, Slime Everywhere, Blaze Cannon, and Ra. So not an out to Rivalry, but let's see what they end up going with. Send the Ra back, send the Blaze Cannons back, send Sun God Unification back, send Ash Blossom back. We'll add the Slime Everywhere. Set 1, probably know what that one is, end turn. Diabound will draw and go right to end phase. So both are in a sort of a stalemate right now. Rivalry of Warlords locking down Ra from summoning the God card itself, whereas that 3000 defense on board for Ra is preventing Diabound from getting any attacks through. Ra draws and ends. Diabound draws and ends. Ra draws and ends. Diabound this time draws Hidden Kernel and activates it to send a Diabound monster from deck to grave to add an Elushu. We'll send the first form of Diabound and we'll add that Elushu. Now he activates Motive of the Bandit. This allows him to search out the Bandit card from deck to hand. Adding the Bandit Child. Normal summon the Bandit Child. This has the ability to pay 1000 life points to special summon a Diabound monster from a hand or graveyard. Will bring out the first form from the grave. We'll move into battle phase and we'll pitch Elushu to grant Diabound the first ability where the first time it battles, he can add a Diabound monster from deck to hand. And that first attack declaration will give it a 600 attack boost, putting it up to 2400. So ramming it in to get that search will take 600 damage. Not too bad to get that search. And will now be able to trigger the Diabound Vengeful's ability, where since Diabound battled this turn, he can banish it face down to special summon the Vengeful. So we have the second form on board. So we see where this is going. Without the ability to get the Winged Dragon of Ra on board, Ra doesn't have a whole lot of options, and Diabound can keep ramming Diabound monsters into Egyptian God Slime until he gets to the higher forms of Diabound. We'll activate in main phase 2 Kernel Pop, which will allow him to destroy a monster on board, and then transform the current Diabound into its next form. We'll pop the Bandit Child. Okay, popping its own guy to special summon the Wretched, the third form of Diabound from hand. And now the Bandit Child's and Elushu's graveyard's ability activate. Elushu will add itself from the grave. And the Bandit Child's ability will special summon the Bandit Expert from deck. So now he's got an Effect Negate on board and a Monster Destroy on board with the Wretched, as well as that Elushu in hand to protect itself in case Egyptian God Slime tries to attack over it. Tides are certainly turning in favor of Diabound. At the end phase, Ra will activate Slime Everywhere, and this will be negated by Ancient Tools of the Bandit, paying down 1000 life points to negate. Ra draws. What will he do? Activates another copy of Slime Everywhere. It had one in hand, and that is also negated by Ancient Tools of the Bandit. And Ra will have to end right here with no other moves to make. And this is not looking too good for Ra. Diabound draws. And we'll move right into battle phase where the Wretched will attack. And that'll increase its attack by 3,500. And he is also pitching Ilushu to get that search for the 4th form. Egyptian God Slime, of course, cannot be destroyed by battle, so it will not be, but the Wretched has battled this battle phase, which will allow it to banish itself face down to special summon the 4th form, Diabound the Evil. Now, Diabound the Evil can banish any card on the field once every other turn. So that is the out to Egyptian God Slime. Evil's effect activates, will banish itself, and banish the face down spell or trap. That is a set Blaze Cannon, so a bluff right there. Diabound ends in the standby phase. The Evil will come back. Cannot activate its effect this turn, but let's see if Ra can take advantage of that. Ra sets 1 and ends. This duel seems like it is about to come to an end. Alright. So Diabound normal summons Ilushu. So instead of opting to banish the God Slime with the Evil's effect, he is going to try and go into the final form of Diabound. The Evil attacks. Gain 600 attack. Egyptian God Slime will not be destroyed by battle, but since it has battled, he can banish the Evil and Ilushu from his board to special summon from his extra deck the final form, Diabound the Darkness, which is a Trishula once per turn, i.e. he can banish a card on field, in the graveyard, and from the opponent's hand all in one go. Diabound the Darkness is also unaffected by other card effects, cannot be tributed, and cannot be destroyed by battle except by a divine monster, which Ra does have, but can't get it on board as long as that Rivalry of Warlords is right there. Diabound the Darkness ability activates, will banish that God Slime, banish from the hand, Ancient Chant, and will banish the other Ancient Chant from the graveyard. So is looking to go for game next turn by getting that Egyptian God Slime off the board. Here we go in the standby phase. Diabound the Darkness comes back. And what can Ra do? Oh man, okay. Soul Crossing, activates Soul Crossing. Will tribute the bandit monsters that Diabound currently controls. Obviously cannot tribute the Darkness since it can't be tributed, but he does still have 3 materials left. Will tribute all 3 of those to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra. So he does in fact get a divine monster on board. He had 2 Soul Crossings in the graveyard, but he does have the 3rd to bring out the Winged Dragon of Ra. Winged Dragon of Ra's effect activates, will pay down 6,100 life points to 100, giving the Winged Dragon of Ra 6,100 attack and defense. And that is incredible. We'll be able to take down the Darkness, something that I have never seen happen because most decks don't run divine monsters and the Darkness is usually a win condition, but down it goes, the Darkness. Dealing 2,100. That is a huge momentum shift. So the Darkness clearing out the Egyptian God Slime from the field, getting rid of that Aqua monster, allowed Ra the opportunity to summon a monster of a different type. Ra comes out, takes down the Darkness, and is down to 1,100 life points against Ra's 100. Will end turn without any protection or set cards. Okay. Diabound draws. Activates Motive of the Bandit to search the Bandit card from deck to hand. We'll add the Bandit King. Activates Hideout of the Bandit from his hand. This is a field spell that allows him to pitch cards to add cards from deck or grave, but doesn't look like he'll activate that ability. We'll set a monster and end turn. Just hope to stall for a bit more time. Ra will draw. Go into battle phase, attack the face down monster. That is the Bandit King. The Bandit King's floating ability activates and it will destroy special summon a Diabound Colonel from deck. We'll also activate Ilushu's graveyard ability to add an Ilushu from the grave to the hand. The Bandit King will bring out Diabound Colonel in defense mode. End turn. Diabound draws. Can it get 100 damage on board? It cannot. Will end right there. Ra draws. Goes into battle phase right away. So this, unless he's got a Blaze Cannon, will not work out too well, since Diabound's effect can activate and the damage step to banish itself. And that is exactly what will happen. So that attack fizzles. Ra ends. Diabound draws. Diabound Colonel comes back. Activates the field spell effect Hideout of the Bandit. Will pitch the Bandit card from his hand so he can add a Diabound or Colonel card from deck. We'll search out Colonel Pop. Oh, we'll search out Colonel Pop. This might be it. Colonel Pop activates to target and destroy the Winged Dragon of Ra with no Blaze Cannon on board to protect it. It is destroyed in Diabound Colonel. Looks like it has an opening. Changing it to attack mode will take a chance to go for game, and it does! What a crazy ending. So the Winged Dragon of Ra comes out to take down the final form, Diabound the Darkness, and while all darkness seems lost, Diabound Colonel, the first form, is able to take down Ra with Colonel Pop and attack for a game, and with that, Diabound moves on to the quarterfinals. Ra is out. A crazy match with an OTK in Duel 1, a near OTK in Duel 2 that backfires, and a battle of the biggest bosses in Duel 3 with Diabound overcoming Ra to move to the next round.